Good evening, and I welcome you students for a very important topic, diversity in the living organisms. In the last lecture, students, we have seen that the number of species which exist on Earth are very large, may be estimated to around 10 million, out of which 1.6 to 1.7 are known to the man. And as we see that the number of the organisms is very large, therefore, it is not possible to study. It is not possible to study individually each and every organism. Therefore, it became necessary to classify the organisms, the vast number of known plants and animals into categories which could be identified, named, remembered, and studied. Can you study all these separately?
Yeah, no, sir.
So the first question which was there before us student, which is also given in the NCERT book, what do you think is a more basic characteristic for classifying organism? So on what basis, students, we will make a classification, we will form groups of the different organisms. What do you think? What answer was given for this first question?
Sir,
What
option
answer we
B.
gave? What do you think is more basic characteristic for classifying organism? The place or the kind of cells they are made up of?
The kind of cells they are made up of.
So the kind of cells they are made up of. Why?
Because, sir, the kind of cells that they are made up of, they can be prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell.
So that is a very important, most fundamental property for which we have already discussed in the first chapter. This is the important point, student. Next, what is the primary characteristic on which broad division of organism is made? What is the primary characteristic on which first division of broad division of organism is made?
Sir, it is made on the basis of nucleus.
So the nature of the cell is the primary characteristics on which the division of organism is made. What we are saying, nature of the cell. Nature of the cell is the primary characteristic. The life forms, you see, whether the cell is simple or complex, what we define, student, we classified into
Prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell.
Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. What is the difference between the two?
Sir, prokaryotes do not have well defined nucleus and they lack a nuclear membrane, while on the other hand, eukaryotes have well defined nucleus and has a nuclear membrane.
So the simpler forms, the older ones, the primitive ones were what type of cells?
Prokaryote.
And the complex one later
Eukaryotes.
on? Okay. Pro means before eukaryotes, as they become more complex, as the organism evolved and became more complex forms, then you have seen how the evolution takes place. We will be studying all this. Another question before we begin our session. We have to think, student, on what basis are the plants and animals put into different categories? So when we put something in different categories, what we will do, student, their characteristics, their properties should be different. So what do you think are the characteristics which will put them in different categories?
The first characteristic will be nucleus.
Differences in characteristics, students, of plants and animals. What characteristics we are seeing, student? Nature of the cell. Cell is the fundamental unit of life. Then we discussed body organization. Body organization is different. Complexity of the organ systems.
Mode of nutrition.
Mode of nutrition, important. What type of mode of nutrition we have been discussing?
Sir, the plants have autotrophic and animals are heterotrophic.
Modes of nutrition. Then what else is there? So many characteristics could be different. Nature of reserve food material. Locomotion, growth. There are few characteristics. There could be all this which we will study. Some are more important than others. Some are more important than others. And the role of ecology. Ecological role. The ecosystem plays very important role, student. What type of things will exist where? So we have discussed all this. Another interesting thing, student, is coming now. That we said, as we told you, you told us that classification is the first thing we will do into certain groups so that we can identify, study their properties, characteristics. So after classification is done, there is another important thing, evolution. What is evolution, students? What do you mean by evolution? Evolve. We are saying we have evolved and still the process of evolution continues over millions of years. So what has happened? What is evolution, students? Change in the genetic composition of a population over successive generations. What is happening? Over successive generation, there is a change in genetic composition, students. What is the reason for that? What is the reason? What is happening? This is important for the survival of the population of the coming generations. With change in environment, with change in conditions, the evolution has to take place. And you know, the person, the scientist name is well known to you. The man who gave the theory of evolution, what is his name, students?
Charles Darwin.
So you have said there is a book also, Theory of Evolution by Natural Selection, was first presented in the book The Origin of Species in 1859. Genetic variation is essential for evolution. Just as you see the theory of evolution, sometimes you will see such pictures. You have seen such pictures. What is happening here? See?
Yes, sir.
What type of species it looks like?
Chimpanzees.
How it is changing? This four, first of all, there are four legs. Then it walks on two legs too, and how the evolution is taking place.
Yes.
So there is a change in genetic composition of the generation over, as we say, genetic composition of a population over successive generation. Why this is happening? What do you think it is happening? Why there is a change? There is a role in time in this. Well, So certain body design comes into existence. It will shape the effects of other subsequent design changes simply because it already exists. So the characteristics that come into existence earlier are likely to be more basic than characteristics that have come into existence later. What is happening? Why this process is taking place? Because that is what we say, survival of the fittest. What will happen when certain conditions will keep on changing? Certain species may not be able to exist. You heard that at some time there were dinosaurs, and then that population underwent extinction.
Yes, sir.
If the evolution doesn't take place, what happens? Some change in conditions takes place, and then that population may not exist. Even now, with climate crisis, increase in temperature of the earth, certain species have undergone extinction. And data is available, as you will see. So there has to be a genetic variation for survival, for the survival. For example, evolution. For example, you have seen giraffes have very long necks.
Yes, sir.
And what do they eat? What they are
Leaves.
eating? Consider that this is a tree. Okay? And there are leaves. And now this is eating these. If I say giraffe, student, what is happening? This is eating these leaves. What happened? The plants are becoming larger in size. Supposing what happens? This tree becomes longer. Then what will happen? Now where are the leaves? The leaves have gone to higher heights.
Yes, sir.
And now this same will, how will it reach these leaves? What has to happen? Then
Its
there has
neck
to
has to
be
be increased.
some evolution. So the neck has to become longer. And
Yes,
supposing there were 100 of these, out of which 99 could not do it, then they will not exist. And 1 out of 99 was able to evolve. What happened then? That will survive. So survival of the fittest and evolution. So then what will happen to the next generations? Evolution takes place. Then there is a genetic variation, and you are getting a population of a longer neck. This is a slow process. It's not going to happen in a day, but we can believe it that this is how the story is going on. Here is what you see like this. You get some idea what is happening.
Yes, sir.
So the survival of the species is important, and that for survival, what is happening? Genetic composition of population is undergoing a change. And you have heard about the coronavirus mutations going on.
Yes, sir.
The corona is changing its mutation. So why it is doing it? So it is evolving into different forms for its own survival. And when new bonds are coming, there will be always some variations. Some errors will take place, and the species formed, what type of modes are there for the formation, the production of the new species. So we understand, student, evolution is change in genetic composition of a population over successive generations. We have also evolved. That was some type of monkey which you have seen. So basic thing, what is evolution and classification? Evolution and classification are two branches of the biology which we will study. One is evolution and another is classification.
Change the genetic composition of a population over successive years.
So one deals with figurative how organisms evolve. How organisms evolve, very interesting field. How new species are born from old ones. There are old species. And how, what is happening? New species are born. And classification will figure out how closely related are the species. How closely related are the species. As we said that we will form some groups, and those which have similar characteristics based on scientific properties, scientific characteristics, we will put them in a group. And those which differ, they will be in separate groups, so that we can identify them, study them, and it becomes easier. Otherwise, it is not possible. So students, the method of arranging organism into groups on the basis of similarities and differences is called classification. So one, we are saying classification and evolution. Two aspects we are studying. So when we will arrange on the basis of similarities and differences, that will be our classification. Evolution refers to slow, gradual evolution. This is classification. Slow, gradual, and continuous process by which previously existing organisms developed into existing living organisms. So the old organisms are changing into the existing living organisms. So that is what we mean by evolution. All living things are identified and categorized on the basis of their body design in form and function. What we will be, classification will be based on their body design. And this will have, body design will have some structure, some form, and also will perform some functions. Function, student. So characteristics that came into existence earlier are likely to be more basic than the characteristics that come into existence later. So characteristics which were there earlier, they are more basic. And what characteristics come into existence later, what is happening? Are characteristic come into later. This means classification of life form is closely related to evolution. Therefore, we can say, students, that the classification is related with the evolution process. Because from the earlier, older organisms, more basic than the characteristics which we are having today, they are coming into existence. This means classification of life forms will be closely related to their evolution. Most life forms that we see today have arisen by accumulation of changes in the body design that allow the organism processing them to survive better. The whole game is to survive. And for this survival, the evolution takes place. If we cannot evolve, then the organism can die, as you already seen the death of many of the organisms. That Charles Darwin first described this idea in his book, The Origin of Species. There is a book written by him, The Origin of Species. Does that make some sense to us, students?
Yes, sir.
So when we connect the idea of evolution to classification, there are some groups of organisms which have ancient body designs that have not changed very much. We also find other groups that have acquired their particular body designs relatively recently. Those in the first groups are referred to as primitive or lower organisms, and those in the second groups are referred to as advanced or higher organisms. Therefore, students, what we are saying, organisms, which organisms are primitive organisms, which have simple body structure and ancient body design or features that have not changed much over a period of time. Still we have primitive organisms. So here they have ancient body design. That means they have not changed over a period of time. So you are calling them as primitive. And advanced organisms are more recent organisms. We call higher organisms. Higher organisms. So they possess several specializations. What they possess? Several specializations. And they have more complex structure. They have more complex structure and new characteristics along with the basic one. They are coming from the basic ones. So characteristics of basics are there also. There are more and different type of complex specializations or complex structures which they have. So that makes them different from the primitive organisms. So we are saying there are primitive organisms and there are higher organisms, advanced organisms. So students, what we are trying to say to you, all that we can say is some are older organisms while some are younger organisms. Older organisms and younger organisms. They are ancient design, they are evolved over, have complex specialized functions. So there is a possibility that complexity in design will increase over evolutionary time. What is interesting? As the process of evolution is taking place, what will happen? There is a possibility we are seeing. There is a possibility, student, that complexity in design will increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase. What is our design, students? Is it simple or complex?
Complex.
You have seen how many organs are working inside our body. And the old primitive forms also, you will see there are some old primitive forms. What is the difference? Bacteria, you will see what is happening. Let us see. So students, we have found that there is a link between classification and evolution. Classification and evolution. There is a primitive or lower organism and there is a higher or advanced organism. And the complexity increases. Complexity increases. So question before us, which organisms are called primitive and how are they different from the so-called advanced organism? Question number 1, student. What answer you are giving, students?
The primitive organisms have a very simple body structure and ancient body design that hasn't evolved over a period of time.
So we can say they have ancient body design. Ancient body design and have not changed much. And what you have? Advanced organism what is happening in advanced organism? They have acquired their particular body plan recently and possess. What happens in them?
They have complex body structure.
They have acquired now what we call as they have possessed several specialization. Okay?
Yes.
So complex body structure is there and very important and several specializations. So they exhibit more complex structure as compared to the primitive organisms. So much specialization is taking place, students. Will the advanced organism, question number 2 is on the screen, students. Will the advanced organism be the same as complex organisms? What answer we are giving?
Yes, sir, they are the same.
Yes. Advanced organisms will be same as complex organisms. Why?
Because, sir, they also have a complex body structure and several specializations.
Because advancement is based on what? Is based on development of what we call specialization. So specialization occurs when more complexity will increase over evolutionary times. So the older organizations are simpler and younger generations are more complex. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So students, slowly and slowly, we are getting some information and trying to understand what type of diversity is there, the evolutionary process, the classification process. And Darwin, the great scientist who gave his theory of evolution, origin of species. After that, so much work has been done in this area. Now we are coming further, students. Hierarchy of the classification groups. We told you last time, student, that certain characteristics will be used for the classification. Did we tell you?
Yes, sir.
What were those criterions which will be used?
Nucleus, number of cells, and mode of nutrition and level of organization.
So students, biologist name sometimes they may ask in the paper. So we have to be careful. Even I was not remembering the names. And when I teach, then I have to study and remember. What are the names, students? Ernst Haeckel and Robert Whittaker. See the 1894, then 1969 and 1977. And Carl was tried to classify all living organisms into broad categories. It's not an easy job, student, to classify. And we, as we said, that certain criterion characteristics will be used. The classification Whittaker proposed. So how it evolves? Ernst Haeckel, 1894, 1969, and 1977. The Whittaker, the classification Whittaker proposed has 5 kingdoms. What is he talking? There are 5 kingdoms. Five kingdoms, student. What are these? Can you read it? Read it.
Yes,
with
sir.
me. What is that first one?
Monera,
Manera. Second,
Protista,
Protesta. Slowly and slowly, we will get familiar with their names. Third,
Fungi,
in this we have Fungi. Fourth, he is saying
Plante,
Planti. And fifth one,
Animalia,
Animalia. These groups are formed on the basis of, what is the basis?
cell structure,
What are you saying? First, cell structure.
yes, sir.
Cell structure. We have to learn slowly and slowly. Cell structure, then what is saying? Mode and source of nutrition.
Yes,
Mode and source of nutrition. That is very important. You have seen that. What is the third one? Body
Body
organization. And the fourth one, body organization. The modification was introduced by dividing Monera into Archaeobacteria or Archaea and is also in use. All this requires a lot of hard work, and it's not the job of easy job student. So many scientists were there. Classification is not easy. You can see that. Up to now, we understand the story. Okay. So students, here are the 5 kingdom classifications. Monera, Protista, Fungi, kingdom, and 5. The living organisms are divided into 5 kingdoms. Okay? On the basis of their characteristics such as cell structure, mode of nutrition, mode of reproduction, and body organization. Up to now, everything is clear.
yes, sir.
All right, I will sip water and say, oh, water, heal me, students. All right. Let us see first one which we defined. What is the first one, students?
Monera,
Monera. As we will learn them slowly and slowly, we will repeat, we will revise, then it will become easy. This is the first time we are introducing. So naturally the names are also looking little difficult for the students. Monera. Kingdom Monera belongs to which family? What do you mean by,
Prokaryote family.
what do you mean by prokaryote?
Sir, those cells that in which nucleus is not well defined and there is no nuclear membrane.
So this is important point. Which family they come? Such questions will be there in the paper. The organism belonging to kingdom do not contain a true nucleus. True means actual nucleus. True nucleus is not there. These are the oldest known microorganisms on earth. Oldest, and they are still there. Their DNA is not enclosed within the nucleus. Okay?
Yes, sir.
In the book also you will see a picture of that. Examples of organisms belonging to this group are bacteria, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, and mycoplasma. Bacteria, this picture has been given. And this is a picture of the, as we learn in next class, student 10th, 11th, those who will go for science, biology, medical, they will learn more details of these. These lectures will continue to be useful for the students. Up to now, we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, noted everything?
Yes, sir.
The examples, they may ask, what are the examples of the Monera? What they do not contain? A true nucleus. So they are the oldest forms. Some of the characteristics, students. What are the characteristics of Monera? First, they are unicellular organisms. What do you mean by unicellular?
The organisms that consist of single cell.
First one. Second, they contain 70 S ribosomes. We'll learn more about these. DNA is naked means what? It's not bound by the nuclear membrane. As you said, it doesn't have a true nucleus. It lacks organelles like mitochondria, lysome, plastids, Golgi bodies. Did we study this somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Which chapter?
Chapter 5, Fundamental Unit of Life.
Okay. So we already have information in the book. They reproduce asexually by binary fission or budding. The cell wall is rigid and made up of peptidoglycan. Phlegm serves as locomotory organ. These are environmental decomposers. What do you mean by environmental decomposers? You know, there are so many, as I said, that the living species, organisms, different forms are performing their function, which help us to live on this earth. All they are doing their work. You know, even bacteria are inside your gut.
Yes, sir.
So in the soil also, they are playing their important role. We can't see everything in the eyes, and a lot of work is going on under the soil for the growth of the plants also. They show different modes of nutrition: autotrophic, parasitic, heterotrophic, saprophytic. We'll study more about them. Note down these points. Okay. Noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay, students. What is the importance of these? Monerians are useful organisms, students. What is the function? They enrich the soil as an important part of nitrogen cycle. Very important. What they are doing? They are in the soil. Ionic plants need nutrients. Where they are getting from? In the soil. So they enrich the soil, student. Very important point. So important part of the nitrogen cycle. You know, there are different cycles.
Yes, sir.
In which chapter we are studying that? There is a chapter in science. We'll study water cycle is there, nitrogen cycle is there, carbon cycle. So many cycles are operating. They are helpful in the production of some food items and antibiotics. Methogens play an important role in treatment of sewage. Many organisms rely on archaebacteria as a source of food. So all the organisms which are there, they are required and are doing their job for all of us, for which we survive. So we are learning a lot of interesting things. There is a web chain, food chain, so many things, students. So don't think that the organisms, ant is coming or this is coming or these are organisms, we say, oh, they are not good for us, but they are doing their job. They are working. Okay, let us see the next one, students. What is the next one coming?
Protista.
Protista. Okay, kingdom. Second. This group includes many kind of unicellular eukaryotic again organisms. Pro and eukaryotic, two types we are talking. Earlier I was talking pro. Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Now we are coming to
Eukaryotic.
Eukaryotic. That means there will be some, what will happen? Some of these used as appendages such as hair like cilia, whip-like flagella for moving around. Their mode of nutrition can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Examples are unicellular algae, diatoms, and protozoans. And some picture is given in the NCERT book also. What is the name of this?
Paramecium.
Paramecium. We have tried to got the pictures of them to see some more information about them. We will study more about them in higher classes in more detail. Figure 7.2 of the NCERT book. If you have the book, you will be able to see them. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Protozoa. Amoeba. Okay, note it down. Some of the characteristics. What are the characteristics of the? What are the characteristics we have to study, or we must learn it? Characteristics of Protista. They are aquatic organisms. Most are aquatic, others are found in moist and damp area. What do you mean by aquatic?
They live in water.
Most are unicellular. However, there are few multi-protists such as giant kelp. They may be autotrophic or heterotrophic in nature. They may prepare their food or they may get their food from outside source. These are the important characteristics. Characteristics are important because they will help distinguishing one from the other. And we will understand the basis of the 5 kingdoms on which they have classified the organisms. Another one is coming, fungi. What is fungi, student? The organism belong to this group are heterotrophic. Important point, heterotrophic. What do you mean by heterotrophic?
They are not able to make their own food.
So very important characteristic which they may ask students. Fungi are heterotrophic. So they will need their food from outside environment. And second, they are saying is, what is that? What type of cells? Eukaryotic.
Eukaryotic cell.
They are not pro. What distinguishes? The organism belonging to consume, what they consume? Decaying organic material. Decaying. Where you have any examples of this in your everyday life? Fungi, you have heard about fungi.
Yes,
Fungus,
sir.
where you have seen at your home or somewhere.
On moist breads.
Have you give bread for longer period of time? What happens? You see, वो कह रहे हैं bread खराब हो गई, अब इसको मत खा लेना. Date
Yes,
लिखी
sir.
होती है उस पे. उसके
Yes,
बाद
sir.
वो दिखता है उसके ऊपर. क्या कौन सा कलर आता है? कुछ येलो सा कुछ आ जाता है.
Yes, sir.
The organism belonging consume decaying organic matter. So when those which consume decaying organic matter, what they called? Saprophytes. Question was asked in MCQ. What are saprophytes? They will consume decaying organic material. Examples: yeast, molds, mushroom.
Yes, sir.
A picture has been given in the NCERT book also. What are the names given? Names given.
Paramecium.
So you have these names, student, which are given.
Eastern agaricus.
Agaricium. They are also called mushrooms. And what is that? Penicillium. This is called mold. What is and these are saprobites, yeast. So we know about these things. These are heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms. Some of them use decaying organic material, food, and others called saprotrophs. Others require a living protoplasm of a host organism for food. They are called parasites. Many of them have capacity to become multicellular organisms at certain stages in their lives. They have cell walls made up of tough complex sugar called chitin. The complex sugar called chitin. These are yeast, molds, and mushrooms. Figure 6.7.3 we have shown. Some questions could be put from this form, what we are giving these paragraphs. You know, nowadays what they give you, certain paragraphs are given and MCQ questions are asked. That
Yes, sir.
what is the difference between fungi and so take heterotrophic and some fungal species live in permanent mutually dependent relationship with blue-green algae, what we call cyanobacteria. Such similar relationships are called symbiotic. These symbiotic life forms are called lichens. This question was asked somewhere. Where you have seen lichens? Large growing patches on bark trees. Have you seen any bark trees? If not, you can now see them because we are learning about them. See, when we see plants and you give an observation now because we have some idea about them. Earlier we are only seeing, okay. Now we have some bio and we can understand, okay, let us study what is this. Whatever we are learning, do we see them around? Or where do we
Yes,
see them?
sir.
Even it's a job to name the trees, it's very difficult. So many trees are there, can we name them?
No, sir.
So it's even we can't identify the people name and even sometimes tulsi. I mean, it's important now we have observation to learn. And some of the important characteristics which we always say, what are the important characteristics of fungi? They are eukaryotic, non-vascular, non-motile heterotrophs. They may be unicellular or filamentous. They reproduce by means of spores. Fungi exhibit phenomena of alternation of generation. They lack chlorophyll. If they lack chlorophyll, they cannot perform photosynthesis. They store food in the form of starch. Biosynthesis of chitin occurs in fungi. Nuclei are very small. Fungi have no embryonic stage. Their mode of reproduction is sexual or asexual. Some fungi are parasitic and can affect the host. Fungi produce chemical carbon which lead to sexual reproduction in the fungi. Certain interesting facts about them, characteristics. Note them down. Note down, students. Noted?
Yes, sir.
And more information is coming. Certain other forms. What are saprophytic? The fungi obtain their nutrition by feeding on dead organic substances, rhizobus, penicillium, aspirin. Parasitic obtain nutrition by living on other living organisms, plants and animals, and absorb nutrients from their host. Aphrina pucina. Symbiotic, the fungi live by having their interdependent relationship association with other species, which are mutually benefited. Lichens, they are coming in the symbiotic. Are symbiotic? Important question. The association between algae and fungi. However, both algae and fungi are mutually benefited. Both are symbiotic, they are benefiting each other. Provide shelter for algae and reverse algae synthesis carbohydrate for fungi. Learn more about this in the next classes. So this information should help the student. which is the next kingdom, mummy, planta. These are multicellular, 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 I am saying, student. And what are they? Eukaryotes. They have cell walls. They are autotrophs. Autotrophs means,
They can prepare their own food.
so photosynthesis will take place. All plants are therefore included in these categories. Photosynthesis. Plants and animals are most visible forms of diversity of life. We will look at the subgroup in this category later, section 7.4. We say that in the NCERT, they will give more later on this. What are the characteristics of planta kingdom? Characteristic, first one, they are eukaryotic and multicellular. Number 2, cells have cellulose wall. Number 3, they have a transport system. Number 4, photosynthesis. 5, reproduction, both asexual, sexual. And 6, they show alteration of generation. Important. And last one, we are coming to animalia. These include our organisms which are multicellular eukaryotes, multicellular, and eukaryotes without cell walls, without cell walls. And they are heterotrophs. Again, we look these subgroups as a title later in section 7.5. We will study more in the next sections. As we are proceeding as per the NCERT course and chapters. Which chapter is this? The NCERT,
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, students. Here is a difference between plantia and animalia. Sometimes they ask a question on that, differentiate between the plantia and animalia. First, they belong to plant kingdom, they belong to animal kingdom. Number 2, green colored, they are eukaryotes, they don't have green color. Number 3, cells of this kingdom contain cell wall, they do not have cell wall. Number 4, plants don't have any locomotion. Animals have locomotion, they can move from one place to another. Plants prepare their own food by photosynthesis. Animals does not have capability to prepare their own food. Mostly plants won't show any alteration. Most animals show alteration and mutation. Clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So here is what we have been talking about these organisms, students. Till now, what we have told you, the organisms have been classified into 5 kingdoms. So organism, prokaryotes, unicellular Monera, and then eukaryotes, you have unicellular Protista, multicellular, you have without cell wall Animalia, and with cell wall, you have in 2 categories here, Plantia and the fungi. This picture, a chart is given in the NCERT book, figure 7.4, the 5 kingdom classification. Does that help you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, students, this is the second part of the diversity in living organisms. I hope you have understood the 5 kingdoms which we talked today.
Yes.
And we will learn more about them in the next classes. As we say that, please, if you find these beneficial, subscribe the channels. Your parents can subscribe the channels because this information is very basic and every learning helps, as well as can pass on to your friends and relatives, so that we work so hard for these topics and lectures. It will give us more motivation to give you more information than what is written in the book, which helps the students because then they are prepared for the next class also. And for those who are going for medical, it helps a lot. Okay, then bye-bye. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.